Mr. Smith, isn't it true that for a federal criminal conspiracy charge, it requires more than one individual? In other words, you're making a contractual agreement of some kind with somebody other than yourself, right?
That is correct. There has to be an agreement.
And so when you made the determination to charge President Trump with conspiracy, you surely knew that you had somebody else that he must have agreed upon somewhere to engage in this act that generated the conspiracy, right?
That's correct. We alleged specific individuals in the indictment as co-conspirators.
And so you knew who you were going to do who you were going to charge when you pursued the indictment. You knew who the agreeing parties were, but you chose to list them as co-conspirators, but you didn't indict them. How often have you done that in the past?
In the past, I have had a number of cases where I have charged some members of a conspiracy and not charged others.
One member of the conspiracy. How many times have you done that? Charged one member of the conspiracy and let everybody else off the hook?
I'm sure that's happened. That is not an.
You don't remember doing that?
That is not an uncommon thing to do in an investigation. In my view.
So okay. I dispute that, but we're going to leave that as it may. But let's just get to this. If a member of Congress moves to decertify a state's electors, that would not be a crime, would it?
When you say to decertify,
you make a motion to decertify on that January 6th. That way, every 4 years. That's not a crime, right?
Correct.
And if another elected official urged someone to join them in that decertification, that's not a crime either, right?
As you stated, it's not.
Several members of Congress get together over breakfast. They say, this is the normal path. We watched it because we saw the Democrats do it for every Republican president. So we're not sure how to do it. We've never done it before. That's not a crime to sit down at breakfast to talk about that or any other time together to talk about decertification, is it?
No, it's not a crime to talk about that over breakfast.
In your deposition, you talked about, you made the argument that an elected official who's been deemed to have lost could not knowingly make false statements about election fraud to target a lawful government operation. Isn't that true? That's what you said in your deposition. Page 27.
I believe it's a lawful government function.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, lawful government function. That's what you said. You remember saying that?
I said lawful government function. Could you read back what you said again? I'm sorry.
Yeah. An elected official who's been deemed to have lost could not knowingly make false statements about election fraud to target a lawful government function. You said that would be illegal. Remember that page? Do you want me to actually read this back? Surely you remember that position.
I'm not denying it, and I apologize. I'm just trying to listen to you closely.
Okay, let's just go right from this. You said there's, as we said in the indictment, he was free to say that he thought he won the election, right?
That is correct.
He was even free to say falsely that he won the election, correct?
That's correct.
What you said is he was not free to do was violate federal law and use knowingly false statements about election fraud to target a lawful government function.
That is correct.
Yeah, and for you, that lawful government function is the certification process, I suppose, on January 6th.
Well, it's slightly broader than that. It's the collecting, counting, and certifying of the votes. Our view of the evidence is that begins from the point of time that the electors are certified through the counting of the votes. So that would be
the entire certification process from the state to the feds.
My recollection, as it's pled in the indictment, as I sit here, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's from December 14th. I think that was the day through the voting.
Okay, so you can't recall, but for you, it's from the certification moving forward to the actual ratification of the certification process on inaugural day.
My recollection, that's what we pled in the indictment, yes.
Okay. So you've managed to filibuster us right out of this thing, but your beef was, you said that President Trump engendered a level of distrust, You said he made false statements to state legislators, to his supporters of all sorts, and somehow you discerned that his supporters were angry and that was somehow related to a criminal offense. I find that absolutely weak. I think it's misdirected, and
Time of the gentleman's expired. Gentleman yields back.
Hey, just a minute before you move on. I want to say thank you for watching and for supporting us. It's you, all of our viewers, our readers, and our listeners who make everything that we do possible. So thank you from everyone here at PBS News.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.